Hello everybody, this is Howard the Teaser King coming to you with the game of the week. And my game of the week this week is Ohio State and Michigan State. I got Ohio State laying 22 and I got the over-under of 55. This is a huge revenge game for Ohio State. And they're playing the psychotic Michigan State team who I have no idea who this team is, what they are. They don't have Connor Cook, but they are scoring a lot of points, so their offense seems to be okay. Their defense gives up 55 to Northwestern, and then a 30 to Michigan, and then they lose at Illinois, and they lose to Maryland. It's really a sad bit of coaching for Michigan State. If they would give the effort that they gave against Michigan, they would beat Maryland and Illinois and Indiana and all the other games. And I think that's what's disappointing. They get up for Notre Dame and they beat them. And then they lose to Wisconsin. And then they lose to Illinois and they lose to Northwestern. And then they get up for Michigan and they play a really strong game. And you're like, so from a betting standpoint, a handicapping standpoint, I'm lost. I mean, this is a team that's a very good dog historically, that's losing to teams that are not even close to their skill set. Their quarterback really isn't that bad when you look at the statistics. He does throw a lot of interceptions, but like against Michigan, they ran it down their throat. So why aren't they doing that against Illinois? Western Michigan played Illinois, ran the ball down their throat and beat them 34-10. And I would bet Western Michigan over Michigan State all day. I'd give 10 points if they played. Western Michigan is that much better than Michigan State. So that's what's scary. Is then here comes Ohio State. And Ohio State's similar. They go to Wisconsin and win in overtime. They have Penn State beat, and they lose on a blocked field goal and a blocked punt. Their defense looked incredible. Their offense, you wonder where it goes sometimes. And then here they go, and they put up, 60 points on Maryland, which Maryland's got kind of a weaker defense. And they're starting to play better. So you wonder which Ohio State team's showing up. After really analyzing it, I don't trust what Michigan State team's going to show up. Are they going to pound it down Ohio State's throat like they did Michigan? I don't know. I mean, I think that's their only hope. That's how they beat them last year. Then you got this revenge game. I thought Michigan, with the way they lost last year with the punt, they would have killed Michigan State. And they had them 30-10. And Harbaugh takes his foot off the gas for some stupid reason. He brings in this quarterback who sucks, this left-handed guy, and he runs up the middle for no gain. And it's like, okay, what was the point of that play? And it takes the winds off the sails. They start punting the ball because he's playing idiot ball. And I'm beginning to wonder about Harbaugh, how good a coach he is, because he's really... Colorado had him beat bad. They can't stop the run. For as good of a defense as Michigan is, you can't run on Alabama. You can't run on LSU, but you can run on Michigan if you run it right at them. So they give up a lot of points to Michigan State. They lose at Iowa as a joke. I mean, Wisconsin goes there and killed Iowa. Some of the play calls, I guess he thinks he's at the 49ers. I don't know. I'm questioning Harbaugh. Anyway, Michigan State will probably try to run it down their throats. They seem to be able to score. They have a decent... The quarterback's not as bad as he was in the beginning. And looking at their game against Michigan is the only thing I can really go by here. It was what? It was a 50... It was a 53. It was 30-23. And in the fourth quarter, they were moving, and I think that's helped them. Ohio State should be able to score. They've been, even against Wisconsin, they put up a 30. Against Penn State, they put up a 20. I think it was 21. and they were driving for the field goal, would have had 24. And that was against Penn State, who's got a much better defense than Michigan State. For some reason, I don't know what happened to Michigan State's defense. So I look at Ohio State putting up in the 30s in this game, and they could Katie bar the door because of the revenge factor. They're going to have blood in their eyes. The question Michigan did and let up for some reason. So I look at this as the only way I can play, because it's a 22-point spread. So even if I lay 16, I'm going to get. Am I going to get Michigan where they let them backdoor them? They got a 30-10 lead and they stop scoring. They stop doing anything, and they let Michigan State walk down the field. So this is the problem here. How do I lay 16? Michigan State seems to play extremely good as a home dog. They play extremely good as a dog. Now in this series, the home team never wins. Michigan State won at Ohio State. They won at Ohio State, I think, the last 2 times, and beat them they beat them in the conference championship game before. And Ohio State wins every year at Michigan State. So I can't take Michigan State in 28. I don't know how. I can't bet against Ohio State. They're too strong a team. They could light it up. Because I don't think Michigan State's defense is a typical Michigan State defense, which leads Ohio State to scoring at least in the 30s, if not high 30s, let's say. That's what they did. I'm kind of taking the Indiana game where they scored like 35-20 or something. So I think it was like a 60-point game. Don't quote me on that. I'm just guessing the score, but I think it was like 35-20 or somewhere like that. So I can't lay 16 at Michigan State after what Michigan did. I can't really take Michigan State in 28 because of the law of never bet against Urban Meyer, and you never bet against Nick Saban unless you have Urban Meyer. That's the only time you bet against Alabama's with Urban Meyer's type of offense, because that's their Achilles heel, Alabama. So I can't take the 28 and I can't take the 16. So I look at the over-under of 55. Hard to go under 61 here, which leaves me the only thing I can do is a 49. And I think I can go over 49 because Ohio State's going to score, because Michigan State's defense is just not what it was, and Ohio State has blood in their eyes. They're going to score. The question is, I think Michigan State's going to score because they put 23 up on Michigan. I'm going to give Michigan State 20. I'm going to put Ohio State in the 30s. All I got to do is 55 is 49 in a teaser. So I got Ohio State, Michigan State over 49. I'm fairly confident Ohio State puts up in the 30s here, because they're going to just pour it on. They're not going to take the foot off the gas after what happened last year. And Michigan State seems to be able to put up a 20 on anybody. If they did it on Michigan, they can do it on Ohio State. Ohio State's got a great defense, but I think it's a great pass defense. Wisconsin put up, 23 on them. That game was a 53. So it was a 46 that went to overtime. So it could have been a 50. But that's against the Wisconsin defense, which shows if Ohio State can put up 21 on a Penn State defense and 30 on a Wisconsin defense, they're going to put up at least the 35 on a Michigan State defense. So 49, Michigan State should score 20. And again, they have an offense, and I just don't know where it's been hiding, but it's there, and I think they're getting more used to each other. They had to get rid of Connor Cook was gone, all their receivers were gone, their linemen were gone, so everybody had to get comfortable. And I think that's kind of, now they're starting to mesh. One note on Michigan State, I don't think they'll ever get back to the level they've been at, because now that Michigan has Harbaugh on their back and Ohio State with Urban, none of the big recruits are going to go to Michigan State. They're going to go to Ohio State, or now they're going to go to Michigan. When Michigan was down, Michigan State was getting the bigger recruits because they didn't want to go to Michigan. So therefore, State could get those. But now that they could get the bigger recruits, now that Michigan is back, now the recruit who was going to Michigan State is going to go to Michigan. They're going to get better players because of Harbaugh, and he turns quarterbacks around. So they're not going to get a Connor Cook. He's going to go to Michigan, or he's going to go to Notre Dame, but he's not going to go to Michigan State. It hurt that Connor Cook went in the 4th round and isn't starting. That really hurts. So that's another thing you got to look at. So I think Michigan State's on their way down. How far down they go, I don't know. I mean, this year certainly shouldn't have been that bad, but I blame the coach on this for this year. They were totally unprepared. And where was the recruiting the last 3 or 4 years that they're this young? They didn't have a quarterback. They didn't have a receiver. I mean, what kind of coaching? Where's your recruits? Your offensive line stinks. Your defensive line stinks. So anyway, I'm basically basing this pick on Michigan State's weak defense, that I think Ohio State should be able to move the ball on them, should be able to put up in the 30s, and I can see a higher scoring game here. I mean, I'm just looking at all the stats in Michigan, Ohio State. Let me give you a quick one. I mean, Ohio State scores 44 a game. They give up 14. Michigan State scores 23 and gives up 30. So right there, that tells me they give up 30 points a game. Ohio State will score over that. So they'll probably be in the 40s, but at least in the 30s. Michigan State's been scoring lately, so let's say they're meshing. So I definitely, if they put up 23 on Michigan, they should be able to put up 20 here, which is why it makes it hard to take Ohio State minus 16. This line's way out of whack. I mean, it's really Michigan State and 28 line, probably, but you don't make money. You don't survive as a handicapper or a gambler if you were to bet Michigan State in 28 against a team like Ohio State. It's very hard to make money that way. I think the prudent play here is go over 49. I think it's really the only way. You can't play under in Ohio State because Michigan State gives up 30 a game. They could easily, and Northwestern put up a 50 on them. Michigan, like I said, had 30. If they would have tried in the second half, would have put up another 50. So I can see Ohio State scoring in the 40s, but that's the thing. It could be 40 to 28, and you don't cover the 22. So it's just too big of a line to take Ohio State, and it's hard to take Michigan State even with 28. That's probably a W, Michigan State in 28, but I'm not touching that. So I think the best way is 49. I think Ohio State gets revenge. At this point, Michigan's quarterback's out. I think it's a collarbone or a shoulder. So without the quarterback, Harbaugh's not been smart enough to play the backup. He just plays the Sprite the whole time. O'Korn from Houston, I thought, was probably the better quarterback. So what you have here is O'Korn coming in without that much experience. If he uses the other quarterback, they couldn't beat a high school team. And then Michigan clearly has flaws against the run. So in that game, I'm looking at Ohio State. Unless Michigan shows me something here, I'm not sure Michigan can handle Indiana this week. I'll tell you, Indiana's got a great quarterback if he would stop throwing interceptions, and they have a good scheme, and they have a really good defense. So I don't know that Michigan this week's going to do a whole lot. They're going to be lucky to win. How they lost to Iowa was just terrible coaching. So I think Ohio State knows this. I think they can get revenge on the playoff this week, and then they feel they can beat Michigan next week and get back into the playoff, and they definitely should be. And that's a horse of a different. That's another video. A horse of a different color. It's another video to talk about the playoff. But right now, I think that's where you go with it. I think Ohio State over, blood in their eyes after Michigan State somehow beat them last year with just terrible coaching by Urban. It's amazing how bad these coaches get. Like, you know, if a play works, keep running the play. I hate when a play works and then they stop running that play. Obviously, that's a matchup that they can't defend. So if play A works, keep running play A. No, they go to play B and C that doesn't work. Or on 3rd and 1, they run into the line and then they don't get it and they punt instead of running the other play that works every time. Just amazing. Play action pass will work every time, but these teams are too stupid to use it, or these offensive coordinators are too stupid. I mean, they should be fired. If they don't have play action pass on 3rd and 1, I would fire my offensive coordinator, because that is a sure bread and butter play that always works. All right, everybody, game of the week, Ohio State, Michigan State. Go over 49. Extremely hard to play the game at that line of 22. I really, after what happened with the Michigan game, I am not touching, I'm not laying 16, and I can't take 28. So the only way I can go here is over 49. All right, everybody, good luck. I'll be coming out with the college and pro shortly. Thank you very much. www.teaserking.com. Thank you.